I am suspecting a lot of pain coming very soon now, because this is a sensitive subject for Sogi and Baroque, so this will be fun. The Grim Reaper and the Assassin Exchange. That Discord out. I have never killed anyone, nor have I ever ordered an assassination. I've been investigating the Grim Reaper for many years, and that's when my attention fell on the detective. That's how I came to discover his body at the crime scene on Fresno Street that day. But there isn't a single point of contact linking me to Detective Gregson and Dr. Watson. Therefore, I couldn't possibly have any reason to plot this assassin exchange nonsense. Though you intend to deny the prosecution's accusation regarding both the Grim Reaper and the Assassin Exchange, I acknowledge that I'm known as the Grim Reaper of Old Bailey. However, there's no truth to that, and I'm the only one who can attest to that for certain. The prosecution naturally does not accept that testimony as truth. Naruhodō Ryūnosuke. Yes? Why is it that you're standing behind the defense's bench right now? In order to reveal the truth behind all of this. Even if the result is that your client's guilt is proven. Okay, it hasn't been proven, so shut up, Asogi! There's something I've learned after standing in all these trials. And that's that you can't hide the truth. At some point, it always ends up peering out. So all I can do is side with my client and look for the truth. Don't forget those words. Now then, the defense will conduct its cross-examination. Yes, Your Honor. I understand exactly what you're thinking right now, Asogi. Right now, you honestly believe that there's a contradiction somewhere in this testimony. Oh boy. There's no single point of contact linking me to Detective Gregson and Dr. Watson. But you've had plenty of contact with Detective Gregson, haven't you? Of course. He's a comrade whom I've solved cases with. As he's also my senior in life, I've learned various things from him as well. Really? Like, what kind of things? Oh no! I expect this to be kinda cute! Oh no! Such as which shops offers the best fish and chips, and the like. I feel like he really had to force himself to say that. On the other hand, Dr. Watson was a coroner, but that was a long time ago. I hear that he was invited to a university in the Great Japanese Empire several years ago, and has been teaching there. Yes, he was a forensic pathology professor at Yume Imperial University. Naturally, I have no connections with that place. And that means I have no motive to go to all the effort of sending an assassin? Oh, now I can't even say assassin right anymore! Sending an assassin after him in Japan. Sorry. True, that sounds logical, but there's something here that's bothering me.
Why is there so much evidence? Holy crap! Jeez! Thanks for telling me the page! God.
This appears to be an autopsy report from 10 years ago, belonging to Lord Clint Van Zeeks. What? Clint's autopsy report. It looks like the defense doesn't intend to run from this. Order! Order! Why are you bringing out the 10-year-old autopsy report at a time like this? This autopsy report of the serial killer, the professor's final victim, is the key that links Detective Gregson, Dr. Watson, and the defendant. The professor. Why that name of all names? I investigated all the court records remaining from that time. 10 years ago, autopsies were still considered desecration of the dead. Performing an autopsy on Lord Clint Van Zeeks, an aristocrat, was unthinkable. However, the one who appealed strongly to the House of Lords and was able to make it happen was Detective Gregson. Apparently, the detective guaranteed that we'll definitely be able to find some decisive evidence by doing so. And so the one who was responsible for performing the autopsy was Dr. Watson. His signature is clearly written on the record. We ended up finding evidence as a result of the autopsy, just as the detective had said we would. It was a piece of evidence that ended up clinching Asogi Genshin's guilty verdict. He murdered my brother, and ended up leaving evidence with him. This is getting dangerous. That ended up being the clincher we needed, in order to get the professor convicted. You avenged your brother by prosecuting him, and managed an outstanding victory. An outstanding victory. I wonder if that was really the case. What? What if that decisive evidence had been fabricated? The detective, the coroner, and the prosecutor all joined forces to create it, and ensure that an innocent Japanese man would be executed for being a supposed serial killer. What utter rubbish! Uh-oh! Uh-oh! Now, 10 years later, you developed the need to have that secret protected. So, you saw that both the detective and the coroner who knew the truth were eternally silenced, didn't you? Using an assassin exchange between the Great British Empire and the Great Japanese Empire. Order! Order! 10 years ago, my father was convicted of being a serial killer in this courthouse and was executed. However, that was a false conviction, and in order to prove that, I knew I had to come to this country, no matter what the cost. For the impropriety of raising my glass to the tenacity of the Japanese, I beg your indulgence. However, bringing your personal feelings into the Supreme Court means that you are not worthy of being a prosecutor. Asogi, surely you must know. You can't say that the trial 10 years ago was faulty, but if you don't have proof, then it's nothing but conjecture. Incidentally, I do have proof. What? When I was on my way to France with that detective on October 31st, I posed as an assassin targeting Jigoku Seshiro's life. That was all in order to learn the truth from him. The truth. And that's when the detective admitted to it outright. He admitted that there was a secret behind the autopsy 10 years ago. A secret. I never heard anything about it. While we were waiting in Jigoku Seshiro's cabin for our target to return, I drew my famous sword Karma before him. That's when he seemed to realize my true aim. I see. I never would have guessed that you were Sogi's son. Do you intend to kill me now? I may, depending on what your reply is. What I want to know is just what happened 10 years ago. The truth, and nothing more. Let me start by making one thing clear. I still believe that your father was the professor, even now. He did execute a lot of people, though, but we lack sufficient evidence 10 years ago to prove that. So, does that mean you admit it? That there was forged evidence used in my dad's trial? It was all for the sake of the Great British Empire. All I did was act as I had been ordered to. Ordered. Tell me, what did you do? I have no intention of telling you. Even if it means your death? That's right. Even if it means my death. Oh! Oh! Oh my. Oh! But his hit was not true. He ended up hitting his trunk. And that's when the tip of Karma was broken off. Kazuma-sama. The fabrication that occurred during Lord Clint Van Zeek's autopsy was carried out by Detective Gregson, who was in charge of the investigation. Dr. Watson, who was in charge of the autopsy. There's only one person who could have given them the order to perform it. And that's the prosecutor in charge of directing the investigation, Baroque Van Zeeks, and him alone. In other words, the defendant was the very person who possessed the reason to formulate the assassin exchange plot. Exactly. And we've already proven. The one who ordered the assassin exchange deal was the Grim Reaper himself. Great. Therefore, the Grim Reaper's true identity couldn't possibly be anyone other than the defendant, Baroque Van Zeeks. Asogi Kazuma. What? Are you absolutely certain of what you just said? Did Gregson really fabricated evidence 10 years ago? I asked him myself, and he undeniably admitted it. In that case, I now know the name of the Grim Reaper. What? Lord Van Zeeks. I never gave any such orders. I know that myself. In which case, there's only one other person who could have possibly have done it. Lord Baroque Van Zeeks isn't the Grim Reaper. That's right. There's just one other person it could be. Oh, here it comes! We finally reached that point! I feel like I figured it out, too. Naruhodō. I had a feeling about this person somewhere inside of me. The true name of the Grim Reaper of the Old Bailey is... Art Vortex! We finally call him out! The name of the only person who could have ordered forgery in the autopsy and the assassin exchange deal is Heart Vortex. It was you! Oops, my voice just cracked by accident. What? Lord Vortex? I don't know why my voice just cracked. My bad. That was really bad. The defendant was indeed the prosecutor in charge of the professor's trial 10 years ago. However, that was the only case after his brother, Lord Clint, was murdered. Was that claim of yours just now simply the worst joke to ever go down in British legal history? Well, Lord Van Zieks? 10 years ago, I was a newly minted prosecutor. I'd lost my brother, and burning with hatred, I begged to be made the prosecutor in charge instead. At the time, the one who managed the whole investigation and had the autopsy performed after convincing the House of Lords, then provided me with the autopsy report and evidence, was you. I'd always considered you to be my benefactor. However, it would seem that was all a huge misunderstanding on my part. The strongest force 10 years ago, capable of mobilizing detectives and coroners, was also the one who mobilized Jigoku Seshiro from the other side of the ocean 10 years later. Oops. Excuse me. Lord Vortex, if we assume that you're the Grim Reaper, it would explain everything. Bring in the leg! Come now, let us hear your response, Lord Vortex. This is not some joke that will go down in British legal history. This is an indictment made by the resolved defense. I have no need to answer that. An indictment, you say? Don't make me laugh. The defense attorney's statement just now was nothing but a wild fantasy and utter nonsense. What do you mean? You say that I forged details of Lord Clint Van Zieks' autopsy. That claim right there is false. But Detective Gregson admitted it to me. And where's your evidence to prove that? What? I mean, he has a point. Gregson is no more. Do you propose we have his spirit testify? Well, if we had a spirit medium! Well, I don't know how things work in that insignificant little oriental country of yours, but here in the Great British Empire, the only thing that matters is evidence. I have no intention of entertaining your baseless lies. Uh-oh. Order! 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 Now that Detective Gregson has been murdered, and Dr. Watson is also gone, there's no longer anyone who can testify about what occurred 10 years ago. Excuse me. I have an objection to that. We forgot about Mikotoba, excuse me? And that right there was the aim of the assassin exchange, wasn't it? The Supreme Court is not the place to reminisce about cases that were solved 10 years ago. I completely reject the accusations made by the prosecution and the defense. I trust there are no objections. Asogi. One could say that everything he's lived for has been leading up to this moment. in order to pursue the truth of what happened 10 years ago. I wonder, is there really no one left? No one who could testify regarding Lord Clint Van Zeek's autopsy. There's no one? There is someone. He formulated and enacted a plan in order to erase every witness. He even silenced Dr. Watson, who had gone to Japan, by sending an assassin. I can't ask Dr. Sif without going through Vortex either. But there's still hope. Oh no, what are these lines? Oh man, what are these? Okay. There's still one person left. One witness who can provide accurate testimony regarding that autopsy. Ridiculous. There's no way such a person exists. Naruhodō, who is it? Please, tell me. Asogi. I'm begging you. Allow this trial to continue. I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it in order to find the truth. The person who can testify about Lord Clint Van Zeek's autopsy is Mikatoba Yujin. This is gonna be rough. This is another Japanese person. This is forensic pathology professor Mikatoba Yujin. 16 years ago, he also visited London, along with Jigoku Seshiro and Asogi Genshin in order to study abroad. And just what do you claim that this man can testify about? Mikatoba stood witness to the autopsy as the first assistant. He was also the one who filled out the autopsy report based on the findings. Ridiculous! The one who performed the autopsy was Dr. Watson! The autopsy report is completed by the first attending assistant, under the direction of the surgeon. Apparently, all the surgeon does is confirm the contents at the end and sign it. In other words, Mikatoba Yujin saw the whole autopsy. Please summon Professor Mikatoba as a witness at once. We might be able to learn what happened 10 years ago. The court rejects the defense's motion. What? But Mikatoba is currently here in London and can be summoned in no time. It's no good. Lord Vortex doesn't intend to allow any witness to be called in order to protect himself. This asshole. Prosecutor Asogi, I believe I told you this earlier as well, but you will indict the defendant as the mastermind behind the Grim Reaper and the Assassin Exchange. Yes. So then, you will present evidence at once to prove that beyond a shadow of a doubt. I don't currently have any direct evidence. That's why we need a witness to... The professor's incident is over. There are no clues left to be found there. Prosecutor Asogi, it would seem that you are standing there, possessed by your father's spirit. Naruhodō, please do something? All the facts that this court needs have already been made clear. The one who murdered Detective Gregson was the Japanese judge, Jigoku Seshiro. We will leave the extenuating circumstances to be discovered via a future investigation. Hell no! But then, the mastermind in this country will just hide everything again. Are you referring to me? Yes? I will inform you of your punishment later. As for you, Prosecutor Asogi, you will surrender yourself as promised when this trial ends. Excuse me? Excuse me? What? Your pretend revenge is over now. son of Asogi. Oh no! No! Oh no, we got there! I don't know, Asogi! My baby! Vertex, you jerk! Oh boy, Final's gonna have a fun time. No! Asogi is down! Asogi is down! Call the medic! Objection! Oh my god, I can't stop this either! Holmes-san! This is not a playground for novice detective, Mr. Holmes. This trial is top secret. All outsiders will remove themselves at once. Hold on, I need to stop. I can't. My baby! Oh no! Oh, that was painful! Oh! Oh! How dare you hurt him like that, you asshole! Holmes-san became involved the moment he helped capture Jigoku Seshiro during his attempt to flee. We need to hear what he has to say. Now I'm getting too hyped up. Lord Heart Vortex, you cannot end this trial right now. Oh? And why might that be? Do try to remember. You declared yourself, after all. Today is the day that will hunt down the truth, so that not so much as a speck of doubt remains. Don't tell me. You were so shocked by the accusation that you were the Grim Reaper that you forgot. As I said, the truth has already been made clear. It looks like everyone here in the courtroom are members of this country's judicial system. What do you all think? Should we allow this trial to end here? What was it that brought you all here? Was it just to nod obediently to whatever your boss had to say? Go, Sherlock, go! Order! 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 Today, we're trying to open the door to the administration of justice of the dawning new century with this trial. Expel the darkness of these 10 long years that the Grim Reaper has controlled. And the only ones who can do that are those of us who are gathered here right now, folks. The members of the gallery have no right to voice their opinions. Silence yourselves at once. That's true. The judge's ruling is absolute. To simply bring this trial to a close. Are we really okay with that? There are forces here concealing an invisible darkness. Is there even a single person here who can say he hasn't sensed that? The gallery. Continue the trial. Summon that witness at once. There are still things that have to be taken care of before arresting that Japanese prosecutor. My child! What was that face? Let me copy paste all this that they're yelling because they went too fast and I was too busy looking at pretty Asogi face. Pretty Asogi face! What reliable voices. Continue the trial! Continue the trial! Testify! Testify! Well, what do you say, Your Honor? It seems that these are the voices of the great British administration of justice. I think it would be quite difficult for you to crush them and run away. The trial will now be temporarily suspended. I have no intention of running, nor do I have the need. Bailiff, issue a subpoena at once. Court will reconvene once the new witness has arrived. Actually, there's no need to suspend the trial. What? Hikatoba just so happens to be a friend of mine, see? I brought him to the lobby. He may even be reliving his nostalgic memories of 10 years ago at this very moment. What? Professor Mikotoba is here in the courthouse. Holmes-san, does this mean that you knew this would happen? Why are we surprised at this point? I should think you'd know the answer to that better than anyone. I wouldn't have asked if I knew. I appreciate your cooperation with the trial, Mr. Holmes. However, now that you've finished your role here, you will withdraw from the courtroom at once. Yes, alright then. I'm actually quite busy myself. Mr. Naruhodō. Yes? You still have Iris's charm, don't you? Yes, of course. I brought it in my pocket again today. Iris sends her regards. If you run out of paths to pursue, tug on that ear just once. Alright. Okay. In that case, the trial will now continue. We're gonna get you, Vortex! Escort the new witness into the courtroom. My heart still hurts. The Grim Reaper's real identity is Lord Hard Vortex. Where on earth is this trial headed? It feels as though the darkness surrounding the court is endlessly deep. But it's okay. I'm going to confirm what's at the bottom of that darkness with my own eyes. I'm still upset. Don't hurt him like that. How dare you? God damn it, Vortex. I'm going to... I have another 10 minutes. Maybe I'll get up to, like, right before Mikotoba does his testimony and call it tonight. Hashtag Asogi did nothing wrong! Oh! Oh! We have Baroque, Mikotoba, and Dr. Goulinet. Wow, okay. Now then, witnesses. Would you mind stating your names and profession? Mikotoba Yujin. I teach forensic pathology at a university in the Great Japanese Empire. Professor Mikotoba, who's the girl beside you? Her name is Maria Goulinet. She's a coroner for the Forensic Bureau, and apparently also the daughter of Courtney Sith. Dr. Sith. I'm a bit lost as to why, but for some reason she tagged along. She's just...
Why was the suspicious Oriental summoned as a witness? And Mama wasn't. It doesn't make sense. She was present for the autopsy too.
And there you have it. I could feel that burning gaze of her searing my right cheek the whole time I was waiting in the lobby. Oh no! Poor Professor Mikotoba. The damage Dr. Sith dealt to the English judicial system during the trial the other day was significant. That made her unfit to appear as a witness in today's trial. That was the Ministry of Justice's judgment. In other words, there was a risk of further forgery. The Ministry of Justice, huh? Sounds suspicious to me. I remember you, Mr. Mikotoba. I never imagined that we'd meet again in a place like this. Long time no see, Lord Vortex. What's this track? It seems that the witness was studying abroad in London until 10 years ago, studying forensic pathology. Is that correct? Yes. I was Dr. Watson's assistant at St. Andrew's Hospital. Whoops.
Ah, stop!
And it was there that you witnessed the autopsy of Lord Clint Van Zeeks. Indeed. I assisted with every aspect of the surgery at Dr. Watson's side.
My mama's got more skill than this Japanese person.
Oh, she's so salty! Dr. Watson appointed me his first assistant. And you were the one who filled out the autopsy report, correct? Yes. I wrote down the doctor's observation and got his signature on it.
Mama was the second assistant, so she couldn't see the doctor's surgery properly.
So, Professor Mikotoba, do you recall Detective Gregson? Yes, of course. He was the one who insisted on performing the autopsy on Lord Clint Van Zeek's autopsy. He assured us that we definitely find decisive evidence there. Swayed by that belief, Lord Vortex proceeded to convince the House of Lords. Isn't that right? The result was that the serial killer was caught and justice was served. Detective Gregson confessed to me before he was murdered. He said that there was fabrication involved in that autopsy. You were present at the time, so please, testify. What on earth happened that day? Yes, of course. That's why I'm here.
And that's why I'm here too. Got that?
In that case, the court orders you to testify. However, there's just one thing I must say before you begin. What might that be? You will only state precisely what you saw and heard, and nothing more. Yes, that's what I intended to do all along, Your Honor. The moment any conjecture enters into your testimony, we will stop it at once and eject you from the court. Bear that in mind. So basically, anything that doesn't sound good to you, Vortex, you're going to stop it. Piece of shit. Okay, I will... Can I save? Yes, I can save. Okay, we will do more of this tomorrow.